Hi, today I just wanted to bring you along with me while I paint two portraits. Right now what you can see is I'm just using a light box to transfer a sketch that I did onto the paper that I've already painted a gradient on. You might recognise these, just the backgrounds of them. They're from my last video that I did where I just showed you how I like to paint my gradients, just my two-tone gradients. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. I'll make sure that it's linked. Now, I was actually planning on doing one of the other portraits on this particular pink and blue gradient, but if you notice in the hair, there's actually a smudge on it, which I did just before I was going to start painting. I was swatching some new paints and didn't realise I had it on my hand and picked up the piece of paper. So I chose to put this portrait onto this one because the hair does cover that smudge pretty well. And you'll see later, I'm pretty happy with it. It's not too noticeable anymore. Now what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just going in with a blue paint to add in some shadows and a pinky red to add in kind of like a bit of a blush and warmth to the skin. I'm not adding in highlights. I will do that later with a white gel pen to try and insinuate some of those highlights. And I'm going in really light with this paint, and you'll see me dabbing a lot of it away to try and create a bit of a smoother blend. I didn't want the red or the blue to be overpowering. I just wanted to add some like subtle depth and form to the painting a bit more. So I'm about to go in with my fine liners and start to line this piece. I generally use between a 0.1 and a 0.3. For this one I did use all three of them, but most of the time I use a 0.2 fine liner. For the eyes and the finer details I do like to go in with a 0.1 and then I can thicken those lines up, and a 0.3 I very rarely use. Sometimes I use to thicken up a line, but even then I prefer to use a 0.2 to thicken the lines. I use a uni pin fine liner. I find that it works really well with my paintings, and it's pretty water resistant. I've never had one smudge on me, and they dry pretty quick as well. When lining a piece, I do like to do generally 2 passes over the line, so this is the first one. As much as I try and keep it neat, I do clean it up a bit more in the second pass. But when I do line a piece, I try my best, and I don't always do this, but I try my best to always pull the lines towards myself, and that's why you see I rotate the paper a lot. I find that I just get a lot more precision when pulling a line towards myself. And the hair for this piece really was a challenge for me. I'm trying so hard to get better at drawing hair and to actually enjoy drawing hair as well. It's something that I avoid and I'm just not comfortable with. So I'm actually really happy with how the hair turned out for this. Now all the pieces that I've done today have all had references that I just grabbed off Pinterest. I don't follow references too closely. I've mentioned before that, not that I'm a photorealist or anything, but it takes the joy out of drawing for me to I have that pressure of making a portrait look like the drawing, so I just use it roughly as a guide. Unfortunately for this one here, I lost the photo, so when it came to actually doing this piece, I only had the photo for the sketch, which I did a few days prior to actually painting this. Now this is the second pass with the fine liners. I find these parts so tedious to go back over all my lines, but it really does help me clean up those lines. So what I generally do is I do thicken a lot of lines and clean them up and make them a lot more sturdy, but also where 2 lines meet, kind of like at the jaw you'll see, and where it's hard to explain, where you almost get like a crossover of 2 lines or a T, I don't know, intersection of 2 lines, I do try and add a bit of a curve to that. Like those 2 lines where they meet. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Hopefully you can see what I mean, especially where that neck and jaw meet. But yeah, this was tedious, but worth it. It really helps pull the painting together, I think. The white gel pen that I use is a Uniball Signo broad tip. This is definitely the best white gel pen that I've used. I absolutely love it. Nothing compares to me, and I've gone through many a Signo broad tip white gel pens in my time. So I'm just using it to insinuate a bit of shadow and also colour in the whites of the eyes. I then did go on to add a white border around the whole piece. I'm really happy that I did this. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I think it really creates a difference between the background and the foreground, even though there isn't really a background painted on. But because the gradient goes through the portrait and the background, I think it creates more of a sense of depth, and I'm really happy that I chose to do that. Anyway, I really enjoyed making all of these pieces. It was so much fun, and I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the video. The only other thing I wanted to add, which I forgot to mention earlier, was in the next two paintings, I found that the blue watercolour turned green on top of the yellow, so that was interesting. I didn't mind it, but it was a bit of a struggle for a minute there, trying to figure out if I wanted green shadows or not. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe. Have a good day.
I was ready to surrender my heart to you, only you. These lights all around me keep blinding my eyes from you and the truth. Don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me why. I know, no, you won't save my life. You're making the waves. You and I will never be safe. Be safe. If the walls come down, will you pick me off the ground? If the walls come down, will you save me or burn me down? Ready to surrender my heart to you, only you. These lights all around me keep blinding my eyes from you and the truth. Don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me why. I know, no, you won't save my life. Save